What's going on, you guys? It is your boy, the American F1 fan, Eric Ringle here, and we're here to talk about the rookies. So the Australian Grand Prix has happened, and it was the rookie showcase. We had 6 rookies taking part in the Australian Grand Prix, but how well did they do today? How do we grade them? Let's get into that talk now. So like I said, we had 6 rookies on the grid, but only 5 started the race, as the first casualty of the Australian Grand Prix was Isaac Hajar from the Racing Bulls. And it was an unfortunate incident during the formation lap that took him out. He had just rounded the first corner, spun out, hit the wall, and broke his rear wing. And whether it's any fault of his own or if it was more to blame of the weather, it was still a mistake that he kind of caused by getting on the accelerator a little bit too quickly after that first corner. And unfortunately, he ended his race there. Now, he had some good sessions in free practice. He had a decent qualifying, but I mean, just such a huge mistake in the rain. You know, as a team, you just want to get to the grid. You want to be able to, get off the line and potentially have a good start and give yourself a shot. And Isaac, unfortunately, didn't do that. So if I'm grading on a scale from A being the best to B being semi-best, C being average, D really bad, and F being failing, I'm giving Isaac an F. So just 2 laps into the race, we lose our second rookie of the race, and that's Jack Doohan from Alpine. And God, he's another guy who showed some glimpses of some really decent racing. It wasn't anything like he was in the high parts of the top 10. I mean, we obviously see that Alpine has made some strides going into the 2025 season, but again, just silly mistakes. And again, it's one of those, it was a weird... It seemed like he got on the accelerator maybe a little bit too early and lost the back end, and that pushed him into the wall just before that turn 6 and 7 chicane that we saw George Russell crash at last season. Took him out of the race. Again, he had some really good bits, but if I'm grading him based solely on the race, I mean, Jack just really didn't do anything, and he could have given himself a shot today to maybe get him a 10th place finish, or, at least show the Alpine team that, they need to stick with him, especially with, all the rumors floating around the paddock that, Franco Colapinto is ready to take that seat, just after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Like, unfortunately, this incident doesn't do him any favors. And I don't think, in my mind, the fact that he crashed, it really hurts me to say this, but I gave Jack Doohan a D. So one of my shining spots of the Australian Grand Prix goes to Gabriel Bortoleto. Now, for a Kick Sauber team who literally every F1 pundit and myself included said that they were going to be back of the grid and they were going to probably be the worst team out there, the fact to see that Gabriel Bortoleto made it out of Q2 and almost made it into Q3, like, this is a huge thing. And the fact that he beat his teammate Nico Hülkenberg in qualifying really shows that he's got what it takes. And the fact that in the race, the 2 mistakes that he made in this race was the unsafe pit release during the major pit stops when it finally stopped raining. And then when it started raining again towards the end of the race, he spun it out on his own. And the thing is the suspension was broke on that car. If you watch the replays of his crash, you can see the suspension on, I believe it's the right side of his car. You can see the suspension just as he spins. It all of a sudden becomes real loose, and the back tire kind of starts becoming a little floppy. And unfortunately, he ends up crashing out of the race. But I still think, all in all, Gabriel Bortoleto had a really good weekend this weekend, and Sauber has a lot to look forward to with him in the seat, the rest of this year and potentially next year when Audi takes over that car. So all in all, with this race today, Gabriel gets a C. So moving on next to the guy that we were all told was going to take over at Red Bull, and he was going to be better than Sergio Perez. He was going to literally be that much closer to Max Verstappen. He was going to be pushing Max Verstappen and the team, up the constructor standings, and that's Liam Lawson. And this whole weekend, whether, some of the issues with the car were not all his fault. Obviously, they had some setup issues. They put the wrong nose on it, the wrong nose and front wing on his car, and it spelled problems early on in free practice 1 and then in free practice 2. Free practice 3, he was just nowhere to be seen, and then in qualifying, he qualifies P18, and then the team says, we're going to make some more changes, so they start him from pit lane, and he was having a hard time passing the Haas's of Bierman and Ocon all throughout this race. And finally, at a point, he gets by them, and he just doesn't move any further forward. And then once the rain came, he did almost the exact same thing Isaac Hadjar did, spun it and broke his rear wing on that outside wall just after turn 1 and turns 2. But all in all, Liam Lawson, for a guy that had so much, talk about him and all the, this guy, he's going to be so good and he's going to be pushing Max Verstappen. He did not live up to the hype at all, and I gave Liam Lawson an F. Next, we move on to my guy at Haas, Ollie Bierman. And as rookies go, this has got to be a weekend to forget as well for him. Free practice 1, he's going at it. Don't get me wrong. Give him credit. He is trying to push this car as much as he can, but there's sometimes in life you just have to say, you know what? Stop pushing it. Let's save this car. Let's make sure we don't crash it. And unfortunately, in free practice 1, he crashes the car. He's out then free practice 2 because they're having to repair the car. Then he gets into free practice 3 and then spins it into the gravel in the third sector and loses more time. And then, getting into qualifying, does 1 lap and then doesn't even set a time, and then gets into the race, starts from pit lane and just does absolutely jack all nothing. It was, as a Haas fan for me, it was sad the entire weekend to see the team in general being this way, but more or less, Bierman just, sucking, for lack of a better term. Bierman was a guy that we all expected to, yes, he was a rookie, but he had 3 races in last season's in 2024, and he showed some definite signs of, he is going to be a driver to look out for. And just this race and this whole weekend in general, Ollie just, it makes you have to rethink, was Ollie the best choice for this second seat to pair along with Esteban Ocon? And with just the race in this weekend, Ollie gets an F. And now moving to the star of the weekend, Kimi Antonelli from Mercedes. Oh my God, what a great job from him. Now, he had some really good signs all throughout free practice, but then came to qualifying, and he was only able to qualify P16 going out in Q1. But during the race today, he showed a lot of moxie in the wet weather, was able to make passes on Hülkenberg, on Stroll, on Alonso before Alonso crashed. And then he had his little mistake where he spun, I think it was in turn 4, where he then ended up giving a position back to Nico Hülkenberg, but came right back and got that position back. And then was able to work himself up the field slowly but surely, worked himself up to 4th. Then we thought he was going to get penalized for 5 seconds for a for a pin infringement where it was an unsafe release. Luckily, they pulled the penalty after the race and they gave him back as P4. Kimi Antonelli had quite the debut this weekend. I think the only thing that would have made his debut that much better this weekend would have been a podium or even a win. I think that would have put him up there with some of the great rookies that we've seen in Formula One. So, all in all, with the race and his weekend, I gave Kimi Antonelli an A. So going into the 2025 season, the rookies are going to be all the talk. We've got 6 rookies in the field right now, and it's something that we're going to be talking about all throughout this season. So guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of our 6 rookies in Formula One. How do you think they did during the weekend of the Australian Grand Prix? Let me know that in the comment section down below, guys. And as always, please hit that like button. It helps get these videos out to more and more Formula One fans, so please help me out and hit that like. And then if you guys are new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. We are only 125 subscribers away from hitting that magical 1,000 mark. So guys, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And guys, thank you for being a Formula One fan. But guys, for the American F1 fan, I'm Eric Ringel, signing off.